Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Fergie's Gun podcast with my good friend Ahmad, as usual.
Hi, Nathan.
And it's a very special podcast because Erik Ten Hag has been relieved of his duties at Manchester United. He's no longer the first team manager after the defeat to West Ham at the weekend, which is interesting, mate, because about an hour, 2 hours ago, I said to you that he wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah. I don't know. It just felt it had to happen. Something had to happen. Everything was just so bad yesterday. I felt something was going to happen, but still, I was like, if something was going to happen, it would have happened already in the international break, so they wouldn't do it now. But I think you were the same.
It was just, the timing of it just seems bizarre. Like, after the first half yesterday, which I had to watch, I was out for the first half, you was messaging me, and I had another friend of mine that was messaging going, I don't know how we're not 3-4-0 up right now after the first half. And, we missed chance after chance after chance. And then the second half was, that's the half that I ended up watching. It was dreadful, absolutely terrible, back to the bad old days. But if, they banged those goals in the first half or scored those chances, then we would have been talking about a great victory at the London Stadium. But now we're talking about, literally the official club statement came out about 3 minutes ago saying that Ten Hag has been let go. I just think the timing is really bizarre.
I don't think they had another choice, though. I think he left them with no choice. I know maybe yesterday it wasn't his fault, but I'd like to think that this decision isn't just based on yesterday's result. So I think it's something they've been considering for a while now. And probably yesterday's game was the tipping point for them. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this, to be honest. It's like I was expecting it, but I wasn't at the same time. Yeah. So it's very confusing.
I think that's probably the same way that I feel. However, I've said to more than one person today that I can't see him being sacked. And then obviously he's been sacked. But then again, I did say we'd win at the weekend and we lost. So I've got form on this for getting things wrong. But I think, obviously, he'll be remembered for the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup wins. And I know this sounds awful, I don't think he quite understood what Manchester United was. I think the pressure of that job, as with every manager, it can just melt you completely. Like it can change you as a person. It can change you as a manager. It can make you second guess your philosophy and the way that you do things. And we've seen managers come and go that have, built their reputations elsewhere and come into the United mix and just completely change what they're doing. And I think we saw a lot of that in the last 11, 12 games, whatever it is we've played in the Premier League this season. We've seen him desert what he was playing in his first season when we were playing decent football. And he's just clinging on to anything. And you know what? If I was to pinpoint an exact moment where yesterday it was over for him, it was when he took Rashford off. Because it just doesn't make a lick of sense that he would take off a player that is in a bit of form for a player that he hasn't bothered to play for 3 games running. Ahmad.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, especially this season, and we've seen it a lot also last season, you feel like all his substitutions are wrong. Like they're the wrong substitution at the wrong time. Like it just doesn't make sense. Yeah, it was weird, but yeah, like I told you after the game last night that okay, this loss wasn't on him. He actually coached. Like I told you, the first half we should have been 4-0 up. So, what more can he do? So that's why I think no way this decision is just based on yesterday's game. I don't know. Maybe they've been waiting on they've been speaking to other managers. Maybe they haven't found anyone yet. Maybe now they have, so they could make this decision. I don't know.
But the interesting part is about the official club statement, which I'll read in its entirety right now because it's not very long. It says, Erik ten Hag has left his role as Manchester United's men's first team manager. Erik was appointed in April 2022, led the club to 2 domestic trophies, winning the Carabao Cup in 2023 and the FA Cup in 2024. We're grateful to Erik for everything he has done during his time with us and wish him well for the future. Ruud van Nistelrooy will take charge of the team as interim head coach, supported by the current coaching team, whilst the permanent head coach is recruited. Now, I mean, we knew that was going to happen, that Van Nistelrooy was going to be the interim coach. And I think even when it was announced that Van Nistelrooy and Rene Hacker were being brought in as assistant managers, I think maybe one of our first podcasts, we said that was the succession plan. We said that wasn't there's no coincidence there. Erik ten Hag may have chose those people, but reading between the lines, it's like, okay, well, fan favourite to replace him as interim manager if things don't go very well.
Yeah.
Which, and obviously that has happened now. But the big news today, before any of this was actually announced, was that there was confirmation via a number of sources on social media from Sky Sports in France and I think a journalist in Portugal as well, that was saying that Omar Barada has been talking to Xavi about taking up the position as Manchester United manager. And on the last episode of this podcast, I did mention as well that I thought that was a sidestep, and I still do. I still do think it's a sidestep, but you can tell it's no coincidence that those stories have started to come out now, just before he was fired. Those stories, it's not a mistake. It's like they've been leaked to the press to allow the Manchester United fans to anticipate what's about to happen.
I don't know. I don't know about Xavi. I don't know if he's the right person for it. I could be wrong, to be honest. Like we've seen many teams and like many examples. For example, Barca, when they appointed Flick, yeah, everyone was like, I don't know. He hasn't proven himself in the national team. He wasn't good, so he doesn't suit our style. He's not for us. But like everyone's seeing what he's doing. So the thing with Xavi is we have a very small sample size to judge him on. So we only have his time with Barca. So, and if you want to judge him on that, he actually won the league. But his play style, there's question marks over it. And I just think the United job is just a different kettle of fish for anyone. Like if you look around, I can't find anyone that can actually handle the job. So I don't know if you can just appoint a manager based on his coaching skills. Like he needs 6-7 attributes that he has to be like top level in so that he can actually succeed. And I don't think he can find anyone in that level right now.
I think earlier we was obviously chatting over WhatsApp about who should be the next manager, or we were just basically saying, we were reporting on the rumours or just chatting to each other about the rumours, and you mentioned that Nagelsmann was a decent option for this.
Yeah.
Why do you think he would be decent for it? Genuine question.
He wouldn't be like my ideal choice, but out of all the names that I've been seeing, and like out of all the names that are realistic options, he's the one who I feel most comfortable with. He has pedigree. He's young. He fits the Ineos model. His play style, I think, fits what we're trying to do at United as well. His personality is strong. He's dealt with Bayern. Bayern, like maybe you could say that he got sacked, but We've been seeing Bayern, like their board haven't been up to it. They've been sacking managers left, right, and center, and now they ended up with company. So I think that's enough. I just think he's good. He did well with Leipzig. He did well with Bayern. With Germany, he was actually doing well. Yeah, they lost in the Euros versus Spain, but I think he's a good option, and I think he's the option that Ineos are going for. But I don't see it happening because I think he's bound by his contract until the 2026 World Cup. So I think he's out of the window as well. So other than that, I can't see anyone else.
I don't think. I think it's going to be a difficult decision to make. Obviously, there's names that are out there. Nagelsmann is one of them. Then you've got Xavi that's been mentioned. You've also got unpopular choices like Graham Potter and Gareth Southgate that have been mentioned for the job. Zidane, I think, is I don't think. Do you know what? I thought about Zidane the other day, and I thought I can't see him ever coming back to manage any teams. I think the Real Madrid job was him. That was him, and that was it. But the issue that I think any candidate for the United job, the issue that you're going to have is how are they going to work with this current setup within Ineos or Manchester United's hierarchy? If Barada with Wilcox with Ashworth, and also are they going to have the temperament to deal with a squad that there's been a continuity of players within the squad since Ferguson left that have got managers sacked, there's clearly an issue there that whether it's the environment that they're in that's been set up, whether it's their mentality, whether it's the influence of agents, whatever it is that's been taking place at Old Trafford since Alex Ferguson left his post, it hasn't gone away. And we've become one of those teams that we used to laugh about 10 years ago, saying, hey, Chelsea, changing manager all the time. We're the same now. We're the same. And I understand that modern football has changed and new ideas need to come into play quite quickly. But any manager that comes into this now has got to deal with what is essentially a massive group of babies. And it's going to be tricky to try and get a tune out of it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying when I was talking about what we should be looking for in a manager. Like his man management, his personality. I think all of those come before his coaching skills. I think you can find anyone who can actually coach tactics and these things. There are many out there who are actually good at that. But the thing that is majorly required at this club right now is someone who can, you look at Liverpool, for example. They're a big club. They're a huge club. Not as big as United, in my opinion, but they're below us a level, I'd say. And I think Arne Slot, no one knew anything about him. And he was coaching in the Eredivisie. He hasn't done anything in the Champions League or anything. But what he's actually doing well at Liverpool right now is you can see the players, I don't know, are connected to him, to his personality, the way he handles time, how he handles everything, how he handles himself. So just that as an example, you need that at the club, and honestly, I can't see anyone who's like that out there right now. That's why I was reluctant sacking the manager. I don't see a replacement. That's the thing.
I think it's going to be. I think there's literally going to be a long wait. I can't see them making. I mean, again, I could be wrong, and I've been wrong twice in the last 24 hours. But I can't see them making a decision on a new manager right away. Obviously they've announced that Van Nistelrooy is going to be taking over as interim, which is obvious. But by announcing that, he's kind of giving them a little bit of leeway to take their time and make the right decision, because the next manager that they bring in has to be the perfect person for this new infrastructure. It has to be, because they can't just get another manager in. Say Xavi comes in and the team is performing exactly the same. Then what?
Exactly.
Say Southgate comes in and, he can't get a tune out of them. It's whoever comes in next is their choice. It's their person. It's the man that they believe is going to fit their vision with whatever it is. Or woman, could be a woman. But it's going to be the person that is going to fit their vision. And it's a huge, huge responsibility for them now. Sacking Ten Hag was the easiest thing that they'll ever have to do, because they never wanted him in the first place. And he was becoming incredibly unpopular with the fans. So it's a get out of free jail card for them. But now they've got to find the person that's going to come in and do something with this team. And I'm still not convinced that Van Nistelrooy and Rene Hake are the people that are going to take us forward in the interim. What do you think about Van Nistelrooy taking up that position?
I think he not talking about again personalities. I think he has the personality for it, and he has the pedigree with the fans. He has like this, as they say, this aura around him. But as a coach, I don't know. I don't know if he's good enough. But I think he's gonna do well as an interim. But the thing is, if he does do well, would you stick with him? That's the question.
But then you're in the Solskjaer situation, aren't we?
Exactly.
But I guess Ineos cannot rely on fan sentiment in this instance. When we were all cheering Ollie's at the wheel, that swayed Ed Woodward and Richard Arnold into making that decision. It was like, fan favourite, probably on a cheaper salary than a lot of the top managers around at that point. Let's bring him in. Let's get him in. And to be honest, it worked out well. And I even messaged you earlier, didn't I, saying about I'd rather have him back than go searching around for another manager. Can't see it happening, obviously, but yeah, it's a tricky situation. One thing I will say is there's a lot of people that I follow on social media that aren't Manchester United fans that are posting sad emojis and, talking about it was fun while it lasted type of thing. So even they knew that having Ten Hag driving this Manchester United, whatever it is, this unwieldy beast, driving it forward was a laugh a minute, because we just weren't winning games. And you provided me with the stat earlier about it's 11 wins in 11 months? 11 Premier League wins in 11 months.
Premier League wins, yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy. And even this season, the results haven't been good enough. It was inevitable. It was going to happen. If it didn't happen now, it was going to happen later, because to be fair to Ineos, they have given him way more than enough chances. He's probably been a bit unlucky with certain things, but when you look at it as a whole, there's no one to blame except for him.
True. I'm just looking, I don't want this podcast to turn into man reads the internet, but I'm just looking at there's reports now suggesting that United are going to try their luck and approach Nagelsmann, even though they know what the current deal is that he's under, because they want to see if the Germany Football Federation would allow him to leave.
You never know. He might choose to leave, but I think they should, like you said, they should definitely take their time with it. They shouldn't rush into anything. The season, to be honest, I don't want to say it's over before it started already, but if it's more beneficial in the long run, we can stick with Ruud for now and just take our time with searching for a manager instead of getting someone in and who we're going to be stuck with and who we're might have to end up replacing again. So I don't know.
In world football, then, we obviously don't need to drag this out any longer, but in world football, who would be your choice of manager right now? And obviously they have to be either, they have to be still able to manage, not like Ferguson coming back.
Hold on, goodness you. To be honest, like if you look around, probably Xabi Alonso, although like 100% would never happen. But he's been like super impressive with everything he's been doing. I don't know. I can't think of anyone like Inzaghi. His name came up a few times, but I wouldn't take him. There isn't many, to be honest. Like all the good managers are in the Premier League already, so that's what I think. You know, it's like the best managers are.
Who would you take from the Premier League then?
I take Pep if it's like a theoretical.
Okay, all right, yeah. Fair.
No one would take anyone other than Pep.
That's fair. I know this is. I've mentioned him before, but if you want a yes man, if you want someone that sits in and as everyone else do all of the busy work, the transfers and stuff like that, and you just want a player to coach the team and get them out there and get them motivated and get them to win a game, I don't think you would go far wrong with Solskjaer. I don't think you would go far wrong with Solskjaer. And there'll be people listening to this that will be like, no, absolutely not. But when you think about how this system, what they want to set this system up, where it's just a kind of an autonomous role of like the manager doesn't get involved in any of the other stuff. He just puts the players out. He coaches them, puts the players out on the pitch, and gets them geared up for each game. I think he fits that role. I think he fits it.
Yeah, actually,
him or Roy Keane.
I think Roy Keane has to come on as an assistant now. I don't know why this idea came to my head like last night. Like Ruud as interim, Roy Keane as his assistant.
That would be.
I don't know.
That would be amazing. Unbelievable. Yeah.
But from the league, actually, I've mentioned this to my friends like the other day. I take on Postecoglou.
Really?
Yeah, I really like him.
They got beat by Crystal Palace yesterday.
I know, but like I don't know. I just see his style of play is really good, actually.
He's a no from me. I love the fact. Sorry, again, man reads off internet, but I love the fact that everyone's doing like emergency podcasts right now.
Yeah,
like everyone's posting on Twitter saying emergency podcast coming up. Emergency podcast. Erik ten Hag been sacked. So at least he's left a lasting mark on the world of football. Everyone's talking about him right now.
Yeah, everyone talks about him all the time.
Before we finish this, sorry, I know I'm dragging this out, but before we finish, like, how do you feel about, like, as a person, like, how do you feel about Ten Hag being sacked? Like, do you think he was mistreated? Do you think he just didn't have the tools to be a success in the first place? Like, what do you think it was a success? His reign there, like, how do you see it?
I wouldn't say it was a success at all, to be honest. I wouldn't say it was a success. Okay, we won 2 trophies, but it's the FA Cup and the League Cup. And in the league, okay, we finished third the first season, second season this season, and like the results that we've been having, like if you think about it, like the results that we've been having for the past 2 or 3 years, it's crazy. Like the 7-0 from Liverpool, 6-3 from City, 3-0 from Spurs. Like it's just, I don't know. Like I just don't know. Like I can't judge because maybe there's a part of me that still has the standards like of what we used to be. So I can't get myself to accept that. Okay, maybe we're at this certain level and these things happen. Like his time there, like we've had good times with him, but like as a whole, it was not good enough at all. I really had high hopes for him. I really thought he was the one to actually just stay and like apply his style of play. But just I don't know what went wrong. Something went wrong completely last season, and he just couldn't turn it around at all. And I feel bad for him. I feel bad for him. I liked him as a person. I don't know him personally, but from what I've seen. And yeah, I liked certain stuff that he was trying to do, but just like when you think about it, no, it wasn't good enough. What about you?
I feel pretty much the same as you. As a person, like I feel that he was done unfairly. Like I don't think when he came into the job he was given the support or anything else that he needed, because there wasn't that sporting infrastructure there. And he came in, did his best with a squad that was bang average and has got worse ever since. In terms of their form and consistency. And I feel bad, and I always remember like the cup victories, but I think that might have been the actual issue for him in the first place. He saw that as a success, when Manchester United is about challenging on all fronts, not just those 2 cup victories. You can't say that you're a success because you've won the league and the FA Cup. Yes, they're brilliant in that moment, but Manchester United should be playing in the Champions League. They should be challenging for the Premier League title. And it wasn't long ago that they were challenging for those things. And I think after his summer holiday, and it was clear that it was a forced marriage between the two of them, between Ineos and between him, because they couldn't find the person that they wanted. I think everything was written then. It was going to be a tumultuous relationship between the two. As soon as the form dipped, they would let him go. And the old adage about giving him enough rope so that he does the dreadful thing, that's exactly what they did. They let the fans turn on him, and the fans have turned on him. And ultimately, it's unsustainable, so they can just get rid of him. I think we'll remember him as a manager that I feel cracked under the pressure. I feel like, especially this season, I think we'll remember him as a manager that failed ultimately.
So you think he was done unfairly because they kept him?
Yeah, I think they should have just let him go. Jim Ratcliffe even came out and said he didn't back him. He didn't back him. If they wanted to back him and show that they wanted to keep him as a manager, then they would have made a club statement, as they have done, to say that he's been let go. And Jim Ratcliffe would have said, Erik ten Hag is our man. Like, he's our choice. Rather than flirting with Tommy Tuchel and all the rest of these other managers, in plain sight. It's difficult to go back to your wife if you've been out flirting on the dance floor all night.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And people have seen it.
I know.
So, and he knows, to carry that analogy on, he's been sent the pictures of Jim Ratcliffe having a dance with a couple of different managers on the dance floor. And he's got back to Ten Hag, and he has to go back and work in that environment, knowing that he wasn't the first choice.
Yeah, see,
it's a disgrace.
I know, but this is exactly what we spoke about when we had the podcast before the international break. So we were like, if there's a decision to be made, they have to make it now, because like, what's the point of pushing through with the next few games, and like once results don't go our way, which is very possible, you just take the decision and sack him. And like, you missed out on a very clear and, in my opinion, very suitable option in Tuchel. He was right there. Like, and if you didn't take the England job, 100% he would have been the one to take the job now. So I don't know. I don't get the point of that.
Well, now, as you just mentioned, like why now with that, and that's the question that will keep popping up. They must have been convinced that he was going to get them relegated. They must have been.
Yeah. Why not?
That it was going to keep going. But now they've left the club is in chaos. We've got Leicester in the EFL on Wednesday, I think it is, which I guess they see as a free hit for Van Nistelrooy. Like, if we go out of that type of competition, it doesn't really matter. So I guess that's one reason why they thought about doing it now. But nothing has changed since that international break. Nothing. And again, this is why I'm deeply concerned about the early signs from Barada, from Wilcox, and from Dan Ashworth, because the timing of this could have been miles better.
Yeah, but then again, if they hadn't taken this decision now, people would also have said the same thing. Like they're being incompetent, delaying the decision. So I think we can look at it both ways. But how do you think? What do you think Ruud is gonna do? Like, do you think he's gonna play different formation, different players? I think we're gonna see the same thing.
Do you know what? I think it will be interesting to see what is done now. Whether he completely rips it up and does something different, because then that would suggest that it was him. It was all him. Do you know what I mean? Like if there's a new formation, for example, if he plays Højlund and Xerxes up front, when it's clear that that's the best way to do things, and they start cooking, brilliant. But it will shine a light on the fact that Ten Hag was the sole reason why all of this wasn't working. If they will obviously get the new manager bounce, we always get that. But if we get the new manager bounce, Van Nistelrooy's still in, and they start to play poorly again, and we start to have these terrible results against mid-table opposition, then it's the players, 100%. And the sporting setup, 100%. And it would take some of that blame off Ten Hag. That's what I would think.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, to be honest. Next few games, Chelsea at home at the weekend. That's going to be interesting as well.
But how do you? Because you told me you was requesting that they delete the league and start again from last night after that result. You was pretty angry about it, as was I. I used a lot of swear words, not realising kids weren't quite asleep yet. But like, what do you feel like they see the season as now? Like, do you reckon that they see it as a salvageable thing by making this change? And what do you think would be the targets now? Because top four and the Champions League, obviously, probably would have been what they wanted at the beginning of the season. Is that still a possibility?
I think so. In my opinion, yeah. Like the top four race is always until the final 3-4 games, I think. Like, because you have 3-4 teams fighting for it. And the thing is, okay, we're 14th, but I'm just taking a look at the table because, yeah, I promised myself I wasn't going to look at it again, but I have to. So we're 7 points off Villa, who are in fourth, and Arsenal, actually. 7 points off Arsenal and Villa. 7 points isn't that big of a gap if you think of it. Like, if you go on a run of 5-6 wins, teams are dropping points left, right, and center. We're seeing that in this league. Anyone can drop points against anyone. True. 7 points isn't like if you get to December or like January, 3 or 4 points off of the top four. That's very good. You still have a chance. And I think we have easy fixtures coming up. Like we have Ipswich last. Like I'd say easy, but you'd think they're winnable games. especially if we have the new manager bounce. So it's not that bad yet, but we have to go on a run of wins.
We have to. And the last thing I'm going to say on this before we end this podcast is, man reads internet again. Stephen Warnock on Sky Sports Premier League says, and it was something that me and you talked about the other day, playing Mazraoui at number 10 the other night is a manager that is aiming to be sacked.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, I think that's the tipping. That was the tipping point.
Yeah, I think it is. Anyway, well, farewell to Erik ten Hag and on to brighter and better things for him. But hopefully this Manchester United team can pull their finger out and have a decent run from now on, because the man that was in charge has been relieved of his duties, so there are no more excuses for it. So fingers crossed that Van Nistelrooy can take us a bit further up the league. Anyway, thanks for listening to this emergency podcast, and we will be back again on Friday.